So I think the temperature is supposed to get up to 100 today, and it might be. I tell you, it's still not too bad. There's a nice breeze, and as long as the breeze is around, it's really tolerable. Of course, you can't go out and do a lot of labor, but you can sit on the porch and enjoy the breeze and without the air conditioner. That's the whole point of this. The other day I was saying it was, I don't know, it was in the 80s and nice breeze, no humidity. And I said, man, this has just been a really cool summer for Missouri. I mean, look at this. I don't know if you can see the leaves blowing, but man, it's nice. And somebody says, you're crazy. This is the hottest summer on record, which I don't know and don't care. What I do know is I'm comfortable. Whether that's because I've gotten used to it or because there's a breeze, it doesn't matter. But if you think that you have to have an air conditioner, and I've been talking about this SHTF and the differences between self-sustaining and off-grid living versus prepping, stockpiling. Stockpilers are not going to be ready for, are you crazy? This is the hottest summer on earth. They're not going to be able to deal with it. They're not going to be able to handle, a wet shirt and changing out the shirt a couple times a day and hand washing things. They're just not going to be able to do it. So I've gotten lots of feedback on these videos since I started talking about SHTF and the differences between self-sustaining and preppers. And I thought I'd go through some of these comments. One comment I've gotten several times actually talks about, you really need to start addressing how people in the city can live in SHTF, because the only thing you keep talking about is self-sustaining. Well, if you're not going to be able to stockpile, because you say the stockpiling isn't going to work, which I don't. I think once you run out of your stockpile, you're done. Especially if you're in the city and you think there's no other way, that this is it, I got to stockpile. So what you're going to do, and I said this in a previous video, is you're going to watch millions of people suffer while you have your stockpile and you're eating your stockpile and you're looking out your window and you're watching millions of people suffer and die. It's going to be tragic. And the thing you have to look forward to is that when your stockpile runs out, you get to do exactly what they're doing. Whereas hopefully I'll be able to ignore what's going on out there and just continue to work my off-grid, my self-sustaining life, feeding the chickens, and continue to reproduce my food and live until I'm dead from old age or some major illness. I mean, we've talked about illnesses, and sometimes you just have to face the fact that you're going to die. But if you live in a city, you got to stockpile. There's no other choice. So I can't teach you how to stockpile, because for city living especially, because one, I live in a tiny house. It's impossible to stockpile in a tiny house. I've said this in a video just yesterday, and somebody says, no, you got to have a bigger house. You got to. And I even said, the reason I have a tiny house is because now I don't have to be on grid. So if I built a bigger house, then I'd have to get electricity. Then I'd have to start stockpiling, because then I got to rely on the electric company, and then I got to be mad. And I just went on. I thought, a pretty good video. But somebody says, no, you got to stockpile. I've got enough food to take care of my family, my children, their spouses, and their children. And it's just, how long? A week? So getting back to the city, I've said in the past that I had a backyard farm. I lived in a municipality. It wasn't exactly a city, but it did have a mayor and a city council. Had gravel roads. It wasn't rich. It was around 2008, 2009 when the economy kind of crashed. I think we started out with chickens. And then we got some ducks. And finally we got some goats and sheep. We raised these things right in the backyard. We had a little, well, I don't know, it was about half of our backyard was dedicated to the animals. And then we had a garden that took about the other half of the yard. And during the summer, because there was so much fertilized ground inside where the animals were raised, we would take half of that and raise it in corn. And we did really well. It got us through 2008 until the economy recovered a little bit, or 2009. And by 2010, I had another job and things were back to normal. So that helped us. Of course, we were struggling and had no money. I was self-employed and all my clients kind of bailed out on me. So it got us through. I don't say that's a SHTF situation, but it was pretty serious to me. It was SHTF to me. Now, could you do that in your city? Well, here's the thing. I had solar panels on the roof. I didn't have a lot. I wish I'd have had more, but back then they were so dang expensive. Now they're pretty cheap. You can pick them up for 80 bucks a piece. So I already had those. I had those since like 2004 or 5. I had the batteries. So there was one time though that the electric went out, and I did have enough electric to turn on the lights. I had backup heat source. So there are things you could do in the city. Well, I can't raise chickens. Well, that's not necessarily true. You need to check with your city council, of course. But my mom, she just went to her city council. I thought it was illegal to raise chickens in her backyard, so I was encouraging people to get ducks, because most municipalities will let you raise ducks because you don't have that rooster. But she went and checked, and she can raise chickens and a rooster, so she got herself, I think, 15 chickens. So she's already preparing for SHTF by having food, and then she's got to figure out how to feed her chickens. And I've said before, that's pretty easy. Sunflower seeds, and of course people never listen to me when I say sunflower seeds. Carolyn takes that amount of sunflower seeds, and this thing will become more full than this. This is only about a half a week, but they grow. Put them in water and they grow, and you drain them out every day to make sure they don't rot. You keep them moist, and by another half week that will be completely full of sunflower seeds. So she's taken, what she has done, she's taken 50 pounds of sunflower seeds and it's turned it into 250 pounds of food for the chickens. Because people say, oh, you don't have enough room to grow enough sunflower seeds to feed the chickens. Well, you're not going to feed the chickens only sunflower seeds. You only want to give them protein. So you feed this as part of their diet, not the entire diet. The rest of the diet is all this, which is what we did with our goats. Is we fed them corn that we raised in the city, to kind of keep them fat, and of course we didn't know as much as we did now. And then we put them out in the yard, and they would mow our yard for us. Now, I'm not a big goat fan anymore because of the goats we had. They were a real terror, but that's a whole different story. But you could get sheep. Sheep do the same thing. We had sheep also. The problem with sheep, we had a hard time reproducing sheep. The mother would always die. And then as a result, the lamb didn't get enough milk from the mother, so it would get bloat and die. So that was just inexperience, not understanding how to reproduce sheep. But regardless, you can get chickens and ducks. If you can't get chickens, you get ducks. And I keep saying that if you can't get ducks, get rabbits. There's no municipality that says you can't have rabbits. I'm sure of it. So these people who says, oh no, you got to prep in the city. There you go. No, you don't. You can reproduce rabbit. You got to be careful with protein poisoning from rabbit, because Carolyn and I are carnivorous. That's pretty much all we eat. So you got to be careful that you don't overeat on rabbits, because they don't have any fat. Google that, because I'm not a doctor on that. I just know that you shouldn't only eat rabbit. You got to have other things to fatten you up or stuff. So, but if you do rabbit, I mean, you could grow corn, and that would give you your fat. That's sugar, carbohydrates. I'm against carbohydrates, but that's beside the point. You got to make sure that you get all the nutrients you need. So the people are saying, no, when you live in the city, you gotta stockpile. Well, that's still not going to help you any more than not stockpiling. Stockpiling is a false sense of security. So all these folks are coming in telling me I'm wrong, I got to teach about city. There you go. There's your lesson on city self-sustaining living. You can do it. Anybody that says no, you can't do it is just being negative. They can't see past their own preconceptions, and they're not willing to learn anything new. Now, the other thing that I got to say, I keep saying about other preppers on YouTube, keep hounding you that there's only one method: stockpile, stockpile, stockpile. It's a lie. I can tell that they're lying. I just got a commenter the other day who I know for 100% is lying. And I know they're lying because they've commented in the past, and what they did in the past and what they're doing now is a complete 180, and they couldn't have done it that fast. But these people used to be in major debt. And all of a sudden now they have enough stockpile and enough solar panels to feed their entire family and their extended family, have enough solar panels to run their air conditioner, 1,500 something, 2,000 square foot house. They don't ever have to worry about anything, and they're going to feed the entire neighborhood, and blah, 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 blah. No, it's not true. There is nothing in my mind that says that you could turn your life around that fast. being on disability. I mean, I know these people are on disability. So what it is their ego cannot accept that they are not ready for whatever SHTF thing is going to happen. Same thing I see from YouTubers, that their ego tells them they have to be the experts in the subject because they're a YouTuber. Their title, the name of their channel, Preppers, that makes them the authority. So whether they know anything or not, they're saying they do. Just watched a prepper the other day, and he was talking about how he was going to can some tomatoes. And he said, I had to call such and such person and get the recipe to can tomatoes. Now, tomatoes are like the easiest things to can. I mean, it's impossible not to know how to can tomatoes. You don't even need a pressure canner. You just water bath them. I got 2 water baths right here just for tomatoes. My point, and it doesn't matter that he doesn't know, that's fine. The problem I have is he calls himself an expert in prepping. How can you be an expert in prepping if you don't know how to can tomatoes? This is important because in an SHTF, when you need to can tomatoes, you're not going to have a phone to call your neighbor and say, hey, how do you can tomatoes? You got a recipe? You're not going to have internet or Google to look up the recipe. You're not going to have the ability, because the next day he said he had to go buy jars. He didn't have enough jars. You're not going to have enough jars to can. What are you going to do? So what I'm saying is when you're self-sustaining, you're already doing this. You're testing yourself. Go to the yard sales now. Yeah, if you go to Walmart, you're not going to find any jars. There's none available. I've been saying it for years. So go to yard sales. You can pick up jars at yard sales quite frequently, and usually they're free. Get yourself some Tattler lids, and those are reusable, so you never have to worry about canning lids ever again through the SHTF. So if you'll click that super thanks button, I'd really appreciate it. So I hope I can inspire you to learn everything you can so you can live your dreams. Thanks for watching.